The next leg of my Turkish odyssey takes me along the majestic Lycian Coast. My first stop is the ancient Greek city of Phaselis.
Only Phaselis. Too much beach there. A nice place.
He can wait like 3 hours? Yeah?
Can wait, yeah.
Okay.
Walk through.
Özlediğim nazlı yardan neden haber gelmiyor? Ayrı düştüm dost elinden, günüm geçmek bilmiyor. Yollar alın götürün, beni yarine verin. Dağ bayır aşırın, yarime kavuşturun. İçim yanık, boynum bükük, yardan haber gelmiyor. Gözlerimin önünden yarim yüzün gitmiyor. Yollar alın götürün, beni yarime verin. Dağ bayır aşırın, yarime kavuşturun.
Lycian Coast, one of the most famous and most beautiful stretches of coastline in Turkey, where the Taurus Mountains meet the Mediterranean Sea. Lycians were a cluster of various ethnic groups, Greeks, Romans, Persians, Anatolian tribes, living in the Lycian state, which existed from the 15th century BC to 546 BC. But they had their own language in addition to Greek and Illyrian, as well as their own architectural style. In the 1st century BC, they formed a union of 23 cities. The Lycian League held strong for nearly 5 centuries and is considered to be the pioneer of today's democracy. Although the league was dissolved by Emperor Claudius in 43 AD, he was quite impressed with its form of government. So when Lycia was incorporated into the Roman Empire, the state was allotted the right to self-govern as a Roman protectorate. This made it one of the earliest examples of a federation with republican principles. Principles that centuries later would be used by the founding fathers to draft the US Constitution and by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk to establish the only true Western-style democracy in the Muslim world. We're in the ancient city of Phaselis. This city was founded in 700 BC by settlers from Rhodes. Because of its location between 2 harbors, it became the most important harbor in eastern Lycia, with a vast trade network stretching across the eastern Mediterranean as far as the coast of Syria and Egypt. And this region specialized in trading roses. The offer of cheap citizenship also attracted a lot of shady characters, earning it a reputation for corruption and greed. Over the next several centuries, the city changed hands several times, first being captured by the Persians and then Alexander the Great and the Ptolemies, becoming a member of the Lycian League in the 2nd century BC. The piracy and Arab invasions between the 3rd and 8th century led to its decline, and after an earthquake in the 13th century, the city was abandoned for good. Right here we have the remains of the city's aqueduct. Okay, this is the city's amphitheater. It was built in the 2nd century AD by the Romans and was capable of seating up to 1,500 spectators. And you might be surprised to hear that Turkey has its very own Mount Olympus. Four of these ruins actually extend out into the small bays on the Mediterranean Sea, so I think I brought my snorkel gear with me. I'm gonna hop in there and see what we can see under the water. Pretty cool, never thought I'd be snorkeling in a Middle Eastern country. That the ruins actually created an artificial reef for some small marine plants and animals.
Tatlı dile güler yüze, doyulur mu doyulur mu? Aşkına bakışan göze, doyulur mu doyulur mu? Canana kıyanlar sayılır mı?
And I ended up on this small rock on the edge of the bay. I actually wasn't expecting to come out this far, but I didn't expect the water to be so shallow here.
Zülüflerin dökse yüze, yar vadeyi sunsa bize, leblerimi memeze, doyulur mu doyulur mu? Doyulur mu doyulur mu? Canana kıyılır mı? Canana kıyanlar hakkın kulu sayılır mı?
You can see the habitat here is very different from the other areas we visited. I don't even feel that I'm in Turkey right now. My exploration of ancient Lycia continues the next morning, where I'll make a brief stopover in Fenike and a small mountain village before visiting Dereme and ancient Myra.
Turkish coffee!
We're on our way to Myra right now, and we stopped in the small town of Fenike. It's actually really popular for Turks living abroad in countries like Germany, England, and the US to buy summer homes because it's not too touristy over here. It's a lot quieter, so they can come here and relax. And I'm not surprised. You can really tell the difference in the quality of life here versus Cappadocia.
Karanfilek dimerek, karanfilek dimerek, buna dayanmaz yürek, buna dayanmaz yürek. Ben o yari tanırım, ben o yari tanırım. Şimdi gelir gülerek, şimdi gelir gülerek. Derenin derincesi, akar suyun incesi. Gel biraz konuşalım, gönlümün eğlencesi, gönlümün eğlencesi.
The most iconic feature of the Lycian culture were these spectacular rock-cut tombs dating from the 4th century BC. 23 tombs are actually inscribed, 13 in the Lycian language and 10 in ancient Greek. And they were built to resemble wooden houses and shrines and were almost exclusively reserved for the upper and middle class. The different characteristics of the tombs offer clues to the social status of their owner. Many of the tombs depict funeral scenes and scenes portraying the daily life of the deceased. When British archaeologist Charles Fellows discovered the city in 1840, he found a tomb filled with life-size reliefs brilliantly adorned with red, yellow, and blue paint. Now the reason these tombs were cut into the rocks because they wanted their afterlife to begin closer to the sky. And the richer you were, the higher your tomb would be. We're in the ancient city of Myra. The city's Greco-Roman amphitheater was built in the 2nd century AD and is the largest theater in Lycia and one of the largest in Anatolia with 38 rows of seats, capable of holding up to 13,000 spectators. And the theater is beautifully adorned with images of masks and mythological scenes. The origins of Myra are still a mystery, but recent archaeological findings suggest it could date as far back as the 5th century BC. It was first mentioned in the 1st century BC, when it was said to be one of the 6 leading cities of the Lycian League. A large metropolis of 50,000 people that in the early Byzantine times became the capital of Lycia. The city remained fairly prosperous under the Byzantine rule. Then, in the 6th century AD, a third of the city's population was decimated by the plague. And in 808 AD, the city was captured by Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid, who very quickly brought it into decline. Finally, in the 11th century, the city was sacked by Seljuk Turks, and a combination of Muslim raids and natural disasters ultimately led to its abandonment. Today, only a tiny section of the once thriving metropolis remains. The present-day city of Dereme, known until 2005 as Kale, was built atop the ancient ruins of Myra. Originally just a tiny hamlet home to around 400 Greek Christians, Dereme transformed into a small Turkish farming town after the population swap of 1923. The town remained largely off the tourist map until October of 2017, when a group of archaeologists excavating the ruins of an ancient church stumbled upon a tomb belonging to Saint Nicholas, better known as Santa Claus. Although Santa Claus is always portrayed as a chunky, gray-bearded man in a red suit who lives in the North Pole, the real Saint Nicholas was actually born in Turkey in the 3rd century AD. Losing both his parents to plague, he was left a wealthy man. In the 4th century, he became Bishop of Myra, where he quickly became famous for his miracles and random acts of kindness, the most famous of which, you've guessed it, gift-giving to children. Upon his death in 343, he was buried right here in Myra. In the 6th century, a large church was built atop his tomb, which quickly became an important pilgrimage site. In 1078, during the Seljuk invasion, Italian merchants moved his remains to Bari, Italy, where they remain to this day. And today, he is revered throughout the Eastern Church and is the patron saint of Greece and Russia, as well as of children, sailors, merchants, scholars, travelers, and the unjustly imprisoned. But despite all his good deeds, he is also alleged to have participated in the Council of Nicaea and been responsible for the destruction of some of Myra's most famous pagan relics, including the renowned Temple of Artemis. In fact, the church which bears his name was built using the stones of the original Roman site, sections of which can still be seen inside the church. I guess no one's a saint. My tour of the Lycian Coast concludes with a scenic boat ride to Kekova Island.
Dere boyu gidelim, kara boyun güdelim. İkimizi görmüşler, neden inkar edelim, neden inkar edelim.
This has to be my favorite region in all of Turkey, and also the most beautiful and very interesting geography. This feels more like southern Europe, not a habitat you typically associate with the Middle East, but Turkey is actually the 2nd most forested after Cyprus. Although the drive along the Lycian coast is quite scenic, you haven't really experienced the true beauty of the Lycian coast unless you've seen it from the water. So I'm ending my day with a scenic cruise to the Sunken city.
The ruins from the Roman pre-Kekova people and also the Lycians. You will see the rock cut tomb style houses, also rock cut tombs on the way. And also when we arrive to the island, you will see the old city. Most of the ruins stay under the water, but you will see the fresh water cistern, church, the houses, and also the harbor. You can see the steps while just going up the houses. You can see the walls of the houses right there. You can see one of the sarcophagus behind this island. Used in the Roman period while after that.
And this right here is the village of Calicut. It was founded around the 4th century BC and is built on the site of the ancient city of Smyrna. Its name actually translates to castle village, and it's named after the castle that was built in the Middle Ages by the Knights of Rhodes to defend the area from piracy.
At the photos, you can see the smallest theater in the world, only 40 capacity.
We're sailing along the shoreline of the region's famous Kekova island. During the Italian occupation of the 1920s, the island was fought over between the Italians and the Turks, who both wanted to profit from its summer wood harvest. These days the island is completely uninhabited except for 2 weeks out of the year when farmers from the mainland bring their livestock here to pasture.
First century AD, during the Roman period, the city was on the water. But after the earthquakes, unfortunately, we can see most of the construction stayed under the water. More than 3,000 people were living during the Roman period around here. If you look up there, you can see the gate. And also, if you look carefully on the wall, you can see a lot of holes stick the wood for supporting the roof. You can see the steps right here. The house with the 2 windows. As I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that 90% of the Kekova was under the water. You can see the drainage system right there, the canyons. If you look carefully under the water, we may see the amphoras. You can see the harbor area was playing important role for the Christianity world. So after spreading Christianity, most of the people just accepted Christianity. So you can change your clothes if you want to swim. We will stop here about 20-30 minutes.